Right, hi everyone, this is my BMW 330 Ci Clubsport, and it has a little problem which I'm going to try and fix today. It's not something I've attempted before, but I have seen a video on how to do it, so I'm hopefully going to try and copy that. So what it is, it's a replacement of the door actuator, which I think is a little bit of a bugger of a job. But I haven't done it before, so if I can do it, anyone can do it. So what the problem is, close the door, and using the key fob it will lock the car, but unlocking it won't do it. The noise occurs, but it won't pop up the little notch thing. So I've actually got to do it with the key and open it that way. So if we just nip round to the boot, get that open. I do have the actuator here with the stem, so this is the new one. Well, it's not new, it's second hand, but I'm told reliably that it works. There's the little notch thing that goes up into the door, so that will be replaced as well. And then we have this cable, which I can probably keep my original one, to be honest, but we'll see how that goes. So I know there's a tricky little bolt in here, which I think there's two ways to get around this. One is to have the correct tool, which I think is a female Torx spanner, and it runs on an anti-clockwise thread. The other way is to come into your engine and take off this bolt, so you don't run the engine. Just take this off, and as you can see, it has a female Torx star-shaped pattern in there, and you can put that on the end of a pair of pincers and put that on the bolt and twist anti-clockwise in order to loosen the or twist clockwise, sorry, in order to loosen the nut. But we have in our toolkit, we do have some female Torx sockets, so I'm going to use that instead. But if you don't have any, you can take that off. Now, I have seen the video that I've seen on how to do this is a few years old. It was done on a E46 325, so I'll be following that. But my only issue with that video is that most of the footage was blurry, but it was informative. So the reason I'm putting this video out is just to show kind of a better quality version. I might screw the whole thing up though, so I don't think I'm going to need that nut, but again, you can take that off and you can use that. I will link the original video in the video description so you can see how the guy used it. It's quite ingenious, actually quite clever. Yeah, very nice piece of ingenious thinking there. But as I said, we do have the Torx. So the first thing to do, obviously, is to get the door card off. I have taken door cards off on saloons before, but not on one of these, on a coupe. So I'm guessing it's very similar, that we have a screw behind this round plastic thing here. So we're just going to prise that off very carefully, very carefully. I do have trim tools which I'll be using for the clips. Not going to be using some big hefty screwdriver. Then of course this has to pop out, but I really don't want any screwdriver markings on these because I want it to look like it's never been touched. So I'm going to need a very thin screwdriver to get in there. And then we have one in there, one in there, here, and one here. So that's three on the handle, one there. And then of course this has to pop out because it's connected with a cable, so we're going to have to take that off. And then around the trim, it's just a case of popping it out with a trim tool. So I'll go and get my tools and I'll be prepared for that, and then we'll get back. I'm not going to disconnect the battery in this case. I know there's an airbag right here, but I think we might be okay because the padding that goes The padding that's on the door behind this, the insulation, we only have to peel back, say, as far as here, so we don't have to go anywhere near the airbag, I don't think. And the car's switched off, so relatively safe. If you don't feel comfortable though, by all means disconnect the battery, but I think I'm going to be okay. Right, let's get cracking. Alright, so we're in the workshop here. I'm just showing you what I'm going to be using. These are the female reverse Torx sockets. This is going to make life a lot easier. Use one of these. It's probably going to be one of these sizes here, so I'm going to be using those later on. And let's see what we've got out here. We've got Wally and Riley and Merlin down there, and some horses. So we got a bit of an audience looking at us. Right, so here I've got the trim tools which I'll be using for the door frame. I think this is a lot better. It's like a few pounds from Halford, so it's a lot better than using metal screwdrivers. And then I'm going to use this little set of tiny screw heads in order to get these clips out. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove that and then these screws under here, and I'll pry this little switch off for the mirrors, and I'll be back after that. Right, so we've got this top one out here, which I had to use this very tiny thing to get in. You just got to be very careful. I didn't put any marks on it. This one, you pry it out from the top here with a very thin screwdriver head, maybe a little bit bigger than this one. You pry it out from the top. Once that's up, then you start prying at the side, and then it should just all pull out. And then there's a switch, not a switch, a connector on the bottom there, which I'm going to disconnect. There's no more screws under there. Don't forget that every screw that is here is a Torx, so you'll need a Torx screwdriver set for that, which I also have, because if you have a BMW and you don't have a Torx set, then you're screwed, because a lot of them they get used a lot. Right, so I'm going to start removing these three now, and then we'll start undoing the trim. Because I'm using the iPhone to do this, I've got nowhere I can hold it to show you from a distance, unless I don't know, unless I can find a tripod or something, a gorilla thing, one of those gorilla stands. I'll have to have a look. If not, well, we'll just have to do it like this. See you in a bit. Okay, so I have taken off all of the clips with the trim tool. I did use my hands on some of them. Well, that one's just gone back in. I think that's just snapped at the top. That's not handy. That's just snapped right live. That one in there, if you can see that, it's just snapped its head off. But that's unfortunate. If I wasn't holding it here for the camera, that wouldn't have happened. So you basically pull out, and now the whole thing you have to push upwards. The other problem with the iPhone video as well is it's so zoomed in. I've got to stand so far back to show you, but the whole thing pulls up now. You've got to push it up to get it off. So I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Oh, also, let's have a look here. We may need to do something here. I don't think it's going to interfere. No, it doesn't look like it will. Okay, I'll take it off now. Right guys, I did forget one screw. Hold on. Yeah, there's a screw behind the airbag button. Completely forgot about that. Alright, I'm not going to do it with one hand because, as you can see, you make a mess. So back in a sec. Alright guys, so that's everything off. So the only thing that was on there was this clip, which you just kind of flick off and it comes off quite easily. This is the connector for the mirrors that we took off, and then there's two cables going into the speaker, but you only need to take one off, which is this blue one. If we look on this side where the door panel is, you've got the speaker here. The white one, obviously you don't need to take off because that just links up to the tweeter, and that's pretty much it. We did break that clip at the top which one is it now? I can see some strain on this one, but yeah, this one, it did break off on one of the legs, two of the legs there, but that will go back in. It hasn't broke completely off, so not a problem. But if you do break any, you can always go to the dealer and get a couple of clips. They can't be that expensive. So yeah, that's the door panel off, so I'm going to put that away and get on with it. So here we are with the door. Yeah, that is the airbag, guys. It's quite close by, so again, like I say, if you're not comfortable and you want to turn it off, by all means feel free to do so. You just need to reveal up to there. So this has already been, it looks like it's already been peeled off. It's like a liquidy kind of gum. There's a name for it beginning with B. I can't remember what it is, butyl or something like that. So let's see if I can do this. Maybe this has been changed before, but you only need to get in as far as here. I've got my window up, so the regulator, or the actuator, I'm sorry, the actuator sits here, and that's got to be wangled round past here. And the only way to do that is to undo a few bolts, like this one. There's one in this bolt, I think, but you've got to bring the window down to a certain level, I think, for that hole to match up. And then I think this nut, but I'm going to double check and make sure. And then of course you have the 3 on the side here, which will release the actuator. Alright, this is the only way I know to do it without removing the window and the regulator itself. You really don't want to do that if you can avoid it. And plus there's cables in there that I've got to unplug, the one from the outside lock and stuff like that. That's all going to be unhooked. So we'll be doing that hopefully without any hassle. The idea of taking this off, of course, is to allow the regulator to be pushed backwards as far as you can take it, which looks like to be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then you've got to bring this out through that gap. It's tricky. It's tricky, but like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just a case of doing it in an L shape. So you've got you'll be holding the actuator like this, trying to get it through. Once half of it's through, you'll be twisting it round and back, round here. All right. Imagine my hand is the actuator. Okay. So you've got to bring that great big thing through this little gap. Obviously that will widen. You bring it out as far as you can, and then you twist it round back into there, and eventually, with a bit of struggling, bad moods, frustration and annoyance, it will come out. Right, so I'm going to take a closer look and I'll get back to you and we'll see what's next. Right, so taking a look at this is going to be tricky. I have removed the bolt from here and the one from in here. And then I brought the window down a little way so we can get to that. Okay, and as I said, it's a reverse Torx. So what I've got is this. Let me just try and bring it into the camera. There it is. See if I can. It's very hard to hold this and do this at the same time. So it's a reverse star thing. It's 8mm, in case you just want to go out and buy the one socket. It's an 8mm. These two are 10mm standard nuts, and then this will push backwards, allow this to push backwards. That one isn't going to come out. It's going to just allow a bit of flexibility. I'm not going to be sure what happens when this one comes off here, but to loosen it, you have to go this way round. It's anti-clockwise, and then I'm going to be putting the window right back up. The only problem is there's a cable that goes back here which attaches to the outside lock. This is the tricky bit, because I can't reach that cable, because even when the window's fully up, it's still about here and it gets in the way. The only way I can think to get that cable out, which is going to attach like this is the actuator from the door side. You know, there's the door side, so This is from the inside of the car, so you're putting your hand in here basically. The only way I can see to get it out, because it rests on this, so it kind of just, it sits in there, so it'll kind of just lift up and pull out. The only way I can see is to release these three to start the actuator moving out, and then maybe if we can lower it down a little bit, we can get a more clearer view and unhook it then. Otherwise I just really don't know how I'm going to do it. So I'll be back when I've unhooked this, and I'll see where we are after that. Alright guys, so that bolt is out. It looks like this, and you might find you'll get to a point when you're bringing it out that it just keeps turning and turning and turning and not going anywhere. Now there is a nut at the back, but I thought that might be turning along with it, because that can happen, but that wasn't the case. But what I did was, through this bottom bit, I put my hand in through here, and I was able to get my finger up to the back of this, and then I found out there that the nut was actually staying in place, and it just kept turning and turning and turning. So what I did was, I used the trusty trim tool. I put it in there, and I put it behind the thing. So where is it? You know, so that it was it's very difficult with the camera like this, sorry. So it was like this behind, and I just kept on screwing and pushing it out with this, and that got it out. Right, so now we're going to unscrew the actuator and see what happens after that. I'm going to put the window back up now that I've unscrewed that. It's not going to affect the window. Just make sure when you're moving the window up and down that these bolts, top and bottom, are in place. That's where the regulator is. And also remember that when you're pushing back on this to get the actuator out, you are pushing the window towards you. There is going to be some pressure on there, so don't overdo it. I'm not saying the window is going to shatter or anything, but just be careful. And yeah, okay. Right, so the window is up, and I've taken off. I took that off there. You can see that I can just move that up with my hand, move it back, and now I have that much. So somehow in that area I can't move left or right with this. I can only move it back, and that goes right up against the body here. So this is as far as I've got. So we've got about 2 inches in which to get that out. This is going to be like BMW's version of the Rubik's Cube. Not really looking forward to it. I might even think about taking this off if I can. It looks like it's just on a little thing. If I can get my fingers in there, it might be handy to take that off. Maybe not this second. You can see the mechanism for that here, how it just would clip off by just taking that up, and then pushing. That would push down. Sorry, that would push down, that would push up. That's not going to come out of there, so this would have to come out of here first. That would have to slide out. Sorry, I'm not used to having a camera at the side. This will have to slide out first. So you slide this out, and then that would just come off. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe don't even have to do that. Right, so I'm going to take the side off, which again is Torx screws, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, that's out, and remember when we move the actuator, this is going to have to disappear through the hole, so let's not forget about that. Oh boy. Right, there's no way I'm going to be able to film this. I'm definitely going to need both hands for this one, and it's going to take a little while to get this out of here. I still have to unclip the cable at the back, so we'll see how it goes, and I'll explain what happens when I come back. See ya. Right, just quick progress. A few seconds later, I've dropped it a little ways, and what that has done is allowed me to get in. See if I can show you with the torch. It's allowed me to get to the place I need to get to unhook that cable. I think that's it there. I think it's that there. So I can, there it is, with that little nipple on the top there. So I just need to unhook that. That's going to be fun getting that in. Just need to unhook that, goes through the hole, and then that's the actuator unplugged from the door handle. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'll get back to you guys. Let me see if I can focus this. There we go. So that goes through that hole. There's a hole at the back, just have to shimmy it round a little bit. Once that's unhooked, the whole actuator can then start to come out. Be right back. Alright guys, so as you can probably see, she's out. It was a relatively quick and easy thing to do. I thought that was going to be a nightmare. It was not. So you'll see on the bottom there it has a like a little rubber gaiter thing. So let me just show you on this. The little rubber gaiter thing clips into this U-shaped area. So you just pull it out from there, and then the actual cable's in here, the actual nipple part of it. So you would just pull the rubber plasticky bit out from there. That unclips, and that makes the cable nice and free here, and then you can just twist it back, pull up, and she pops out. It's that simple. It just pops out of here. It really is that simple. And now all I've got attached is that and that. I think I can leave this on. I think I can leave that on. So now it's just a question of wangling the thing out of the car door and then reversing the process. Oh, joy of joys. So here we go. Alright guys, so I've forgotten one thing. There's an electrical connector on the bottom. You can see it would go in there. So yeah, I did forget about that. So let's just yank that thing off. Looks like I'm going to need two hands again. Hold on. Right, that was off. Took a little bit of to-ing and froing. As you can see, I've got this access to this this cable now, which I can take off should I want to. Caper's just pulling that up, and it will come out. I don't think I need to at this stage. It's not really in the way. If it starts to become a nuisance, I'll take it off, but I don't think it's going to be. So all that remains now is is to get, yeah, a 6-inch box out of a 2-inch gap. Wish me luck. Right guys, so about 30 seconds has passed since the last time, and you can see we're nearly there. Wingling this around now, so this has come as far as this way as it can go. So now it has to twist that way and go back into the door to allow this corner to come out. That electrical cable I took off, it was getting in the way, especially of the little door, the little door latch that goes up here. So what I've done is I've got hold of it and I've just rested it on the top here, so it's out the way and it's not really interfering with anything. So a little bit more wangling. You know, with the thing with this regulator is once you push back on it, when it stops, that's it. There's no more wiggle room, left, right, back, forward. There's nothing. That's all you have to play with. So you've got to really make the best of that. Yeah, I've noticed there's a rubber trim around the side here as well, so it looks like the rubber trim on this one is in good condition too, so I'm not going to have to swap that out, if you can even do that. I guess you can. So I'm optimistic at the moment. I'm not I'm pretty sure we can do this, and then it's just a case of reversing everything that we've done and putting it all back together, and then hopefully my door will lock with the key fob from now on. So far the airbag hasn't gone off, I'm still safe. Yeah, I haven't got to the point of frustration yet. We're still okay. So I'll wangle this out, then I'll come back and I'll tell you how long it took. See you then. It's out. Okay, so it took a couple of minutes. This was getting in the way just a little, but I don't really think that it hampered things too much. I'm going to give you a little tip, guys, as to how to get it out, because when I was getting it out, I was only getting it a certain way across, and then I couldn't really move it around that way too much. With a bit of brute force, I was able to pull it a little bit further back until about maybe here, and of course just that little bit was stopping it. So what I did was, what I figured out to do, which the other video didn't tell me, but I think it helps. This has got some up and down movement, as you can see. It lifts the entire window. You can see that? The window just going up and down there. Okay, that's the key. That's the key, guys. With one hand, with your right hand, you hold onto the actuator, and with your left, you lift this up. And that gives you, now you got wiggle. Now you can wiggle it, okay? And you can pull it towards the front of the car, see? Once you've got that up, and you can wiggle it back, then it comes out. All right, so that's the key. It's moving this. If you leave it static like this, you get nothing. You see, it'll move, but not too much. And then, of course, that will just go straight back in that hole when it needs to. So that's the key. Lift and pull back. Look at that. I can pull that right back. I'm not going to go too far because it is putting pressure on the glass. I really don't want to have to get a new window. But that's how it's done, guys. It's out. It is out. It is out. It is out. I did take this cable off, but that was before I figured out the lift and pull to the side method. I probably could have got away without taking this off, to be honest. But I'm not too fussed. It's like I said, it's easy to get off. It's just, you know, clip and pop that on the hook. So that's it. She's out. That was not a big deal at all. So before I put the other one in, I'm going to wash my hands a little bit because I've got a bit of grease on this one. This one's now going to go in the bin probably, and we're going to stick that one in. And if it goes back in as easy as it came out, I'm going to be pretty happy. Oh, I'll be right back. Yeah, okay guys, so after a bit of fidgeting, it's on. The fidgeting, of course, was getting all the cables in the back that I needed to attach, and then raising it up. I had to put a screwdriver in there while I was positioning this, put my finger through the hole to try and get this positioned. Everything's on well as far as I'm aware. But there is a little problem, which I don't know if it is a problem until I get that fancy bolt tightened in. We've got some birds overhead here, so I'll show you. I put the regulator back into its hole, so I'm just going to close the thing now. So okay, so if I press the key now, you see it locks, and if I unlock with the remote, you'll see it now unlocks and everything's good. The problem is that when I put the key in and turn, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. The thing's not going up or down, and this feels very loose and it doesn't feel right, and I don't know whether that's to do with that fancy nut that has to go on or what. So I'm going to put that on and see. If that doesn't work, I'm going to have to take it back off again and see if I can find out where the problem is. I don't think it's on that cable that I attached. I'm pretty sure that's on okay. Yeah, we'll try and sort it. Alright guys, so I've got the fancy bolt in. I got the top one and the bottom one on the regulator, and I've just put this back. The only difference that's made is when I put the key in now, with the door closed obviously, I can turn the key to lock the car, but when I turn it the other way to unlock with the key, it won't do it. So I'm not going to be reversing everything I've done to check that out. I know the cable's on there properly, so I don't mind if it stays like this for a little while. Maybe it'll fix itself. I still have to attach this onto the door handle, so maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. Well, I'm going to get everything together now. I'm going to put the door cover, that's going to go back on now, and then we'll just screw it all together and see what happens. But yeah, this does actually work now, so I'm pleased with that. I normally get in and out with the remote anyway, so I'm not that fussed about it, but it is something I will look into and see if I can fathom it out. Whatever the problem is, I don't think, because it's a mechanical thing, I don't think I'm going to need to take out the actuator again, but I may have to loosen it and move it around to get at that cable. Maybe there's just some dink in the cable or something. But I tell you what, let's just get it all hooked back together, put the door card back on, and go from there. Alright, and that's it. I'll be back when the door card's on and everything's hooked up.